There's a version of you right now making a decision you think is small, a job you're taking because it's easy, a risk you're avoiding because it's scary. You won't know for years that this was the moment. I know because I lived it. And by the time I understood what I'd done, 5 years were gone. When I was 25, I had 2 offers in front of me. One was safe, a steady job, decent pay, a manager who liked me, a desk I already knew how to sit at. The other was smaller, riskier, and honestly a little embarrassing to explain at family dinners. It was a startup with 4 people in a rented office that smelled like carpet glue. No brand name, no guarantee it would exist in a year. I took the safe one. Of course I did. Everyone around me nodded like I'd made the obvious choice. My parents were relieved. My friends said, "Smart move." And for the first year, it felt like I'd won something. But here's what nobody tells you about safe choices. They don't announce themselves as mistakes. They just quietly cost you, a little at a time, in a currency you don't notice you're spending, which is time and momentum, and the version of yourself you could have become. 3 years in, I was good at my job. Not great, good. I'd optimized for comfort, and comfort has a ceiling. Meanwhile, that startup I'd turned down, it grew, not into some overnight unicorn story, just steadily the way most real success happens. The people who joined early ended up with skills, equity, and stories that opened doors. I watched from the outside, telling myself I'd made the responsible choice. The turning point came at 28 when I realized I could describe my last 3 years in one sentence. That's the moment that broke something open in me. Not because the job was bad, because nothing had changed. I had traded growth for comfort, and I hadn't even noticed I was making that trade. So I quit. No backup plan, no runway, nothing that would make my parents comfortable. I took a pay cut to join a small team building something from nothing, and for the first time in years, I was scared in a way that felt like being alive, instead of scared in a way that felt like being trapped. It wasn't smooth. I made less money for 2 years. I had to relearn how to be bad at something, which is a humbling, uncomfortable, necessary skill that comfort had let me forget. But something shifted. I started measuring my weeks by what I'd learned instead of what I'd survived. Here's what I understand now that I didn't at 25. Safety and growth are not the same thing, and most of us are taught to treat them as if they are. We're told to minimize risk, and somewhere along the way, that turns into minimizing change. And change is the only thing that actually moves your life forward. The safe choice isn't wrong because it's safe. It's wrong when you make it out of fear and call it wisdom. There's a difference between a calculated risk you decline because it genuinely doesn't fit your life, and a risk you decline because it's uncomfortable to explain at dinner. I couldn't tell the difference at 25. I can now. If you're standing at a fork like that right now, one path easy, one path honest, ask yourself which one you're avoiding because it's hard, not because it's wrong. The hard path rarely announces itself as the right one. It just quietly becomes, years later, the only one you're glad you took. If this hits something for you, you're probably standing at your own fork right now. You already know which path this was about.